Hi guys, I'm gonna go over how to draw Dragon Ball hair. They got these. If you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z, they got these really cool looking hairstyles. Especially Goku and Vegeta. Vegeta's got more of a hairline thing going, receding hairline. But he's also got kind of a different hair shape too. I'm gonna do Goku's hair shape. It kind of looks like a flame. Definitely looks like it's imitating some kind of a flame, maybe like from a candle. I'm going to draw the general broad shape of what it's going to be. So let's say that's the skull in here under there, and I am looking at, it's going to peek over here, and let's see, his ears are going to peek out. He's got a little bit of hair in the back. Alright, so let's dig in. He has some front kind of bangs coming out. These are kind of more or less random. I'd always put like maybe 3 on one side and then 2 on the other. Don't let them overlap. Kind of lightly go in there. Don't commit to it yet. These are kind of clumps of hair that go upward. Each individual one kind of looks like a, I don't know how to say it, like a fingernail, like fingers going through the sky. I guess is the best way I remember it. Think of it as like individual polygons. They definitely don't draw the strands of the hair very much. Maybe another comparison would be like a pine cone. Still just kind of putting in the shapes. I'm not completely committing to it yet because I want to see proportion first. Alright, let's see there. One big one at the top here. Okey-doke. Maybe make this one a little bigger over here. Still kind of going in. I'm drawing with a pen right now, so I can't really erase. But I go in pretty light anyway, because even though I can't erase, I can actually go in with other lines later and make them darker. And the darker you make other lines, these thin lines I'm drawing in will disappear to the eye, for the most part. Still just kind of messing around. I'm not sure what shape I'm going to find. This comes around forward. Make sure there's one placed behind the other. It kind of goes around. So remember, the ones in the front will overlap. And it'll kind of like, it'll come into space in front of the other. Think of it as like these, like I said, I don't know, whatever you want. French fries. These kind of like, kind of reminds me of an onion. Unwrapped. Kind of coming up flour. Alright, let me see. I'm going to look at the placement right now. I think this should be a little bigger. Here. This should be a little more centered, I think. So one little one always sticks up more than the rest. Eyes are over here. Alright. Okay, so now I'm actually going to start going in here and doing some more committed stuff. Let me see. I'm doing this tutorial and I'm really aware that this doesn't really fit into the theme of what I normally do. I normally do, more kind of wizards and monsters and demons, but I'm just I was a huge, and still am, a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. So, I mean, I've done a few fan art for it before, which I can kind of link you to in the bottom here. So I can't help but try to do a tutorial for this, because this is something that I struggled with for like years, and I would have loved to have had a tutorial of it. in order to keep it blocky, you know, remember the edges. It's not completely round. When there's like a corner right here, it will have like a slight edge to it. I'll see people draw that a little too round sometimes, or too angular. There's kind of like a middle point where you have a good mix of sharp angles and these kind of roundish shapes. Very careful. I'm constantly trying to check like proportion back and forth. Looking at it, backing off, looking at it, backing off. So if something's wrong, I can kind of correct. He's got this kind of part in his hair over here. Let's see. They almost look like, the bangs almost look like octopus tentacles, or maybe fingers reaching over his head. Over here. Normally his ear would hit right here. I'm just going to put a shape for the ear, because this is not really about the ear. Let's put like the little shape there. Little shape for the other ear. Oh. Try to remember which shapes come in front of which. The more they go in the back of the head, the ones back here, they're going to be behind the shapes in front of it. And I know that sounds kind of like duh, but when you're thinking really hard about what shapes to draw and what, you know, you're kind of looking at this really like a big mass of shapes, you kind of forget, you know, you forget really simplistic things. So it's kind of important to kind of keep reminding yourself. There's been a few times where I've drawn a hand and I'll forget. I'll be counting the fingers because I mean, during you're kind of like, oh, you kind of, like I said, you're thinking so much about shapes. You're thinking it very objectively. It's kind of weird. You lose your head a little bit. Putting little striations in each batch here to kind of like let you know that it's actually bunches of hair. That there are little strands in there somewhere. But concentrate on the big shapes first, then you can get to the other stuff. Details always come last, you know, when it comes to, like, when you're done with this, then you do detail on top of that. The overall form of each one is what counts first. Remember, like right here, the one in the back of this head has to go behind this big old one over here. Fix that. So. Remember the shape of each one of these things. Each one of these things gets bigger on the way down. Sometimes it's easy to draw them a little too spiky. I mean, they're definitely spikes, but sometimes they're too... Some people draw them really skinny. I'm continuing to figure things out here. Just the shape. Most of them make this kind of shape. It's kind of almost like 3-point system. Like it's almost like a. It's thin and it gets really fat toward the middle of it. It's only the hair shape. And until you committed to memory well enough to be able to draw it on your own, and that's like okay. I mean, I'm doing this from my head, so I think. Let me see. This one seems a little too big, but I'm not really sure how to fix it. If I put a smaller one in there, it'll look too weird. So I'm gonna have to maybe lengthen this one over here, maybe thicken it up a little bit. Alright. Now make another pass through to the whole thing. Going in, adding a few more little striations. Be careful not to get too repetitive. Don't draw the little striations within the big shapes. You're putting little striations, little lines. Be careful not to draw the lines exactly the same. Don't draw any two lines exactly the same because it's gonna look too repetitive. For some reason, like the eye does not like to look at really repetitive shapes, at least like within natural things like trees and hair. For some reason, it's not really attractive. It's supposed to be random. It's supposed to be natural. It's supposed to be organic. But for some reason, we initially will draw things extremely repetitive. We'll draw things extremely dead looking, like artificial. So you gotta fight that. Don't draw any of these small lines within the large bunches. Don't draw any of these lines the same length. At least the ones that are going the same direction. I'll just put one over here. Tiny bit of cast shadow. I feel like this needs something here. It's too. Oh man, some of these are too repetitive here. I'm gonna fix that. Some are coming from the top, some are coming from the bottom. Trying to mix it up. I'm gonna fix this one up here because I kind of messed up a line in there. That if you do the rest of it well enough, that line should not attract attention. You know, sometimes you make a mistake. It's pen. You know, you gotta try to come up with ways to hide it. You know, sometimes you're hiding your mistakes. It's easier if it was in paint. I could just paint over it. But and then you could color that and it'll look pretty decent. This is okay. I would have really liked to make a, like, if I was looking at it right now, there needs to be one sticking out over here. I'm going to put that in really lightly just to show you. And I normally wouldn't do this, but yeah, maybe that would make it slightly better. I feel like it would balance the hair a little more. Alright. This is okay. I give myself maybe like a B. doing it from my head. Alright, see you.